Welcome to the Now and After Breast Cancer Program,
sponsored by the Olive Branch of Hope. And we are your hosts. I'm Shireen Spencer.
And I'm Patricia Russell.
Today's episode, we're just going to be having a wonderful, open, casual conversation with you about our own experience. I have had cancer one time.
But I've had it twice. Unfortunately, it knocked on my door for an extra bounce.
You were just too good with it. It had to come back.
Was that the story? Was that the story?
I don't know. But you know, what we want you to know is that our cancer journeys are different. Even though we might all be walking along that journey, how we walk it, how we experience it are different. And so we're just going to share with you the differences and the similarities.
Because there are differences.
And there are similarities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll ask you a question first.
Okay, go ahead.
Since you had cancer 2 times, I'd like to know if there was a difference between your first experience and response and your second experience and response.
Yeah, there was a difference. The first time I was 38 years old. I had 2 young children under the age of 10. I was very busy. The second time I was busy too, but life was just moving along. And at the time of the first occurrence, Shireen, I was not looking for it or expecting it. The interesting thing is, at the time in 2008, I was actually kind of busying myself to stay healthy and to get healthy. We had started hearing a little bit more about breast cancer. We only knew of one individual, which was a very close friend to my mom's, who had passed away. She was the first Black woman that I knew who had passed away from it. And at the time of receiving the diagnosis, the Oprah show was on. She was starting to interview some physicians and clinicians on cancer. And so I was starting to educate myself on healthcare. And at that particular time of my life, I really wanted to be healthy. I wanted to stay healthy. So I was putting things in place to sort of get me on a consistent journey of health. So it was almost a joke to me to be diagnosed.
Yeah.
I don't know how you found it, but I found it just from getting dressed one morning. It was a February morning. I was getting dressed, and my arm, I was putting on my bra, and my hand just rubbed against my breast, and I felt something strange. I'm like, I have not been well endowed like other women have been. So it was enough to know that something was there that was not supposed to be there. My husband happened to be in the room, and I made mention of it. And he said, no, you need to check it out. And I'm like, oh, no, you know what? It's probably just a bump. It'll go down. But because of his persistence, I got on the phone and booked an appointment with the doctor. And would you know that when I went in for that appointment, he said to me that day, he said, you are the third woman to come in with this concern this morning.
Wow.
So he did not take it light. And he said, including my wife.
Wow.
So when I heard that, I thought, I don't know what's going on in this Canadian weather, but something obviously is happening this month. So, I was kind of taken aback where he really was quick on wanting to make movement to see what this was going on in my body. And in less than a week, we were sent for tests. And the surgeon who saw me, when he gave me the diagnosis, I don't even want to repeat what he said because it was kind of a little insulting. But basically, you have breast cancer. And we're going to have to take some biopsies to see the size, how rapid, and what's happening in your body. And I honestly felt like somebody had kicked me in the stomach. Have you ever been kicked in the stomach?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a stomach ache?
That wouldn't go away. That gutted you?
That's exactly how I felt. It was like, this is not happening. I'm supposed to be taking care of this not happening. And then you tell me that it's happening. So there was a whole pile of disbelief, a whole range
of emotions.
of emotions
And
that took place.
you came from, oh, I'm trying to be healthy.
Yes.
And I came from a journey of just the year before I found my cancer. So yes, similarities, we
Yeah.
both found it. But the year before, I had had 7 surgeries in 1 year. And so there were all of these things that were going wrong. And in that year, I had had 24/7 antibiotics. 7 surgeries means a lot of anesthetic,
Yeah.
all of these things. And so when I was coming into the introduction of breast cancer in my body, I had just been celebrating, oh my goodness, we made it through a year of 7 surgeries. We made it through hospital visits, emergency visits. We made it through something we thought was torturous.
Right.
And you know, I had kept saying, because I had had a girlfriend that had had cancer that year, at least I don't have breast cancer. Only because everybody kept saying to me, they kept saying to me, I can't believe you're going through this. I can't believe you're going through this. I can't believe you're going through this.
Right.
So for me, it was, at least I knew there was an end to
Right.
that year of 7 surgeries in my,
Right.
and I did find it myself. I had leaned over in bed and felt a lump in my breast.
Right.
Because I had had a PICC line that whole year,
Okay.
I thought, oh, perhaps it is scar tissue, but I didn't want to play. And so I called my doctor. She said, I think it's scar tissue, but come in, let's check. That was on a Wednesday. On a Friday, I got a phone call standing in the middle of nowhere. Shireen, it's your doctor. I just want you to know the cancer, the cancer,
Diagnosis.
no, the clinic, right? The early detection breast cancer clinic will be calling you because we're 98% sure that you have breast cancer.
Right.
And then so went the journey of starting that. And I wasn't as gutted until later.
Right.
Because for me, it was, okay, you have just battled something that was horrific in this year. Okay, hit me again. Here we go.
Really? Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I guess because of
Right.
feeling as if, okay, well, we're not out of this. Let's keep fighting. The gutting didn't come yet.
But did you have the energy? Like, what was your energy like after having that tumultuous year? What was your mind? What was your brain saying?
You know what? My physical energy was not up to par, but my mental and emotional energy and my spiritual energy was way up here.
Right.
Because I was just like, I knew what I had
Right.
to go through the battle that I had just been through.
Right.
So I wasn't off of that yet. I was just sort of
Right.
like, okay, the song that comes to mind, hit me with your best. Right? So
And
for
we were
me,
in that era.
for me, it was, okay, you know what? We're doing this again.
Right.
But I'm up here.
Right.
I know what I had
Right.
and needed to go through. Okay, it's not going away. We're
Right.
up here.
It's interesting that you say that because I often wonder now, looking back, I wonder whether women who have been diagnosed have any kind of, I'll use the word premonition, or any sense that, something's coming down the
Yes.
pike or something's going to hit them. Because like I said, I was reading, I was researching. We had started taking supplements. My mother is a very, very health conscious
Yeah.
woman. What I didn't mention
Yes.
was
Please tell them.
what I didn't mention was the year that I was diagnosed, that February, my mother had been diagnosed the year before.
Yeah.
She was halfway through her treatment, and I could not tell her.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell her.
That is just so hard. I don't know if the doctors had thought for you, is this hereditary? Does it come from your family? For me, I mean, you had your mother and you going through the battle at the same time. One sort of trying to get through the end and you starting at the beginning. For me, it was the 7 surgeries in 1 year.
Right.
So when I was diagnosed, I was certain that it wasn't a hereditary issue. I was certain that it was from the stress of the year before, that it was from the antibiotics, that it was from the PICC line, that it was from the anesthesia, that it was from the stress.
Right.
I mean, for me, but they still wanted to be sure. And so we had to do the whole, is it in your family line? Is it in your bloodline? Did it come from?
Right.
Keep in mind, I had one aunt that had it, and then another aunt that had it, and then another aunt. So on my father's side, there was one, and on my mother's side, there was two.
Right.
So they thought for sure. Well, we did go through the testing, and it was not.
And see, that's the thing. You knew of that
Yeah.
historical. I did not know of any historical background. We did genetic for both of us,
Yes.
and hereditary was not there.
So not a genetic thing for
Not a genetic.
anybody.
So I'm always I'm very conscious, or I'm very sensitive when I hear people shoot from the hip and say, oh, it must be hereditary.
Yeah.
Whether it be breast cancer, whether it be lung cancer, regardless of the cancer, I'm very, very, I almost want to say, well, that might not be all accurate.
And it actually
Just
isn't very accurate for us as Black women and women of color, because I actually I've done that testing twice. So I did it when I first had my cancer, and then I just did it last year
right.
because I again I'm now 8 years out, and so the doctor has been wanting me to stay on the
The
treatment
treatment.
that I'm on, and also wanted to check again because the first test had said, no, it's not, but they say it's because we don't have enough in the pool. We don't have enough information. We don't have enough people that are gynaes. I'm not
Right.
where,
Right.
that are getting tested. So we don't really have enough. Can you do this again? And I did it the second time and still nothing.
Guess what? I did it twice too, and it's been proven. And because of the research, because of my own curiosity, I still believe that it's dangerous to say that it's hereditary.
Yeah.
I believe that a lot of cancers, a lot of illnesses on a whole, are happening because of stress. I'm sure you were pretty as busy as you are now. I know my life was crazy busy.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was to give you a rundown, you'd be like, how? So I do believe that stress compounds a lot of our illnesses.
Yeah.
And so you take the information that you knew then, and going forward, I decided to research, learn a lot, inform myself, and advocate for myself. That is one thing that I opened up my mouth. I advocated for myself. I asked questions. I was not afraid of having conversations with my doctor. Why do you want me to go on that? And then I would research it. Google was not as fancy in the 2003 era, but I had to make some hard decisions. But what I've said to many people is, your journey to wholeness really begins with you and begins in your mind.
Yeah, and I think that is like coming off of my year before and then going into it. It was really interesting because I had to do a lot of research and a lot of what's going to help me, because everybody in their journey, even with the diagnosis, like, I don't think that a lot of people have gone through 7 surgeries in 1 year and then are diagnosed.
I don't know.
Right. So, they're all different contributing factors to when you're diagnosed, to why you're diagnosed, to what it is that you get, to how it is that you handle it. And so for me, it was important that I just came off of this. What am I going to do that not just fights the cancer,
Right.
but helps me to have an immune system that's built, that helps me
Exactly.
to even make it through this, because I'm already coming from being knocked down.
Exactly.
Some people coming from being healthy have a different fight and
Right.
a different, makeup. So even with all of the testing that's done,
Right.
for me, it was be your own person. Now,
Right.
I had a lumpectomy, and I had lymph nodes removed, and I had chemo, and I had radiation. And in the back of my mind, I still always wonder, did I do enough? And then I'm continuing to be, okay, what can I do now that this is past to keep healthy, to not get it again? You were on your health journey, got diagnosed the first time. You still got diagnosed the second time.
Yeah.
What was your treatment? What was your plan? What did you have? And
So when I was diagnosed, I was offered two things. I was offered, you can either have a lumpectomy, which is removing the tumor, and then I was also offered have a mastectomy and take the whole breast off. I had body issues at that time in the sense that um, my breasts were already small. So if you're going to take that whole thing, what am I going to look like? So I was imagining, what am I going to look like? Do I really need it? Was it necessary? You know, so I got all of this information and I decided to have a lumpectomy. So I did the lumpectomy first, and then 2016, fast forward, when I was diagnosed again in the same breast, a different part of the breast. It almost wasn't, you almost did not have an option.
Yeah.
It was either, I did actually ask about taking that lump out. But then, you know, you get the questioning, and I understood the presentation. What if it comes back again? This is the second time. And so I did have a mastectomy. So the right breast, no, I just had the right
partial,
breast, a
yeah.
partial. I had that removed. I was offered and I was informed that I could have reconstruction. You know, I was still young, still energetic, and so forth. And then I was told that if I had a mastectomy, I would not have to undergo chemo because I was at a different stage in my life. And that's something that we have to let women know, that depending on the stage of life that you're in, you might look at different options. Like you said at the beginning, it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
You know, depending on what's going on in each person's body,
yeah.
And also depending on where they are at in life.
Yeah.
What options can you choose from?
Yeah. So first time you did the lumpectomy, second time you did the mastectomy, and then you did reconstruction. You did
And then
all of it?
I did reconstruction on that breast, and I wasn't going to, and that's a whole nother story. What I would say to that, I did reconstruction. I really wasn't going to at first, but then when I did see an expert, they told me that I was an anomaly and that I did not qualify for any of the recommendations. But like I said, and like you said, our journeys have been different. What is one thing that you would say to a woman that's just now starting their journey as we wrap up?
I would say to be encouraged by the fact that you're not the only one. Even though this is a terrible diagnosis, we've come very far, and we are really good at supporting one another.
Yeah.
And so face it with your questions and don't be afraid to ask them.
Absolutely.
And face it with a positive attitude, because that is part of the battle.
Absolutely. And I would say to that, I would also say to that person, get yourself a wellness team.
Yes.
You've got to get yourself a team. You do not have to walk this journey alone.
Yeah.
We're in an Asian era where we've got information, we've got supports. There's absolutely no reason for you to journey through this alone. Get yourself a wellness team and be open to listening, to hearing what your options are. Don't you agree?
Of course. And also I would say, feel your feelings.
Feel your feeling, all of them.
Let them out, because you have to in order to stay healthy and to make it, right? You have to. I think that sometimes when we think about the wellness team, when we think about the support that's out there, when we think about who's around us, we still think we have to be up here. But that wellness team should be able to support us in the good days and the bad days. Like, part of the health and part of the bounce back was understanding this came as a shock, this hurt, this sucked, I don't want to feel this. And then going, okay, now that I've let all of that out, where do I go from here?
And as you're hearing us, both of us, we're still here.
We're still here.
We have lost friends, we have lost people, but I believe that we're still here to support others who may be going on this journey. This is the now and after cancer program. We're here to support and contribute to a positive journey, and to let you know, we're not going to sugarcoat it, but we are going to let you know that the diagnosis of breast cancer is not a diagnosis of death. You can make it. You can journey through it. Any last words?
I would just say that, you know what? Your story is important and it matters. And we're just here making it through because we share our stories.
So share them.
Share them.
Share them.